Hi, Works here. We're going to try a little bit different video today, but hopefully this works out. Today, we're going to be talking about eyebucks. What are eyebucks? This is actually a question I get all the time on social media, so I thought I'd address it here. So a lot of times when you see me sculpting, this is the Baba Yaga sculpt that somehow managed to come out of the mold very intact. You see these white eyes, and a lot of times I have screws sticking out of them. Those are eyebucks. So here's an eyebuck, and you can see it's a white plastic. This is a urethane plastic, I believe, with a screw post in it. I get these from Fourth Seal Studios, which I highly recommend. It's a couple guys that are just amazing at what they do, that make fake eyes, but they also sell these beautiful eyebuck kits, which are totally worth it. So, and these are reusable too, unless you actually do mold with them. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. So this is a urethane plastic eyebuck, and then it has a screw post in it that you can, it's an Allen wrench screw, but I have it loose enough that I can unscrew it. That you can unscrew, and it just becomes a regular buck. Okay. So let's go into these a little bit. These specifically are intended to be a part of the mold. That's why they have the screw in there. But a lot of times when I'm just sculpting, I like to have it in place as a placeholder for an eye. And there's a few reasons for that. So with the Baba Yaga sculpture, I ended up not creating it out of silicone. I went with a hard plastic for my final casting. So it wasn't necessary for me to make the eyebucks a part of the mold. So I just wanted a hard sculpting surface. So a lot of times I use, when I'm doing something like that, I use marbles. I have a whole bag full of marbles, but I also use taxidermy eyes, even just plastic pieces. Or in the case of Baba Yaga, where I'm not sure, at least when I was sculpting it, what I was going to cast it out of, I did end up going with these eyebucks from Fourth Seal Studios, which are great because they are the actual size of a human eyeball. They're 26 millimeters. So when you are using one of these, the way that they become part of a mold, and I'll show you here with this mold that I have. This is a mold that was molded for me by Mikey Cook, who I've talked about before. He's Mike X Cook on Instagram, and he's an incredible mold maker. He's the mold maker for Immortal Masks, and he is far more talented than I am with mold making. So he created this mold for me of my Hannibal Lecter Mads Mikkelsen mask that I made for Halloween a few years back. And you can see on the inside, hopefully, if you're not lost in the shadow here, you can see that it has these eyebucks. And these are literally the Fourth Seal Studio eyebucks. So I sculpted this with the eyebucks in place, with the intention of when I cast this mask, which I cast out of silicone, so it's a soft, malleable material, that when I demolded it, I would have a negative space where these eyebucks are that I could put in a lens to make the final eye. So I have the mask here, and you have to forgive me because I've gotten better since I've made this, but you can see that these eyes, like this is soft, this is silicone, but the eyes are hard plastic, and it tends to give it a more realistic eyeball look. And Fourth Seal also sells eye shells if you want to look through them, the pupils cut out. Those I just made myself, and they're actually not quite the right size, which is why his eyes look a little bit goofy, but that's neither here nor there. So the way it works is that you have these negative spaces that are created by the eyebucks, and you can unscrew them after having casted in silicone, or if you prefer, just to leave it in silicone. So you always have to think about things as positives and negatives. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to unscrew this. So you can see that when I remove it, there's that screw post in there, and that's what creates a what holds this in, but I can take these out if I want to remove the mask without tearing the eye. Or in my case, I just tore the eye and then just patched it. So those screw back in. But this is a hard mold made for casting silicone. If you wanted to, you could do it for something like a resin cast. You just have to make sure that this stalk goes through your silicone mold into the hard matrix mold, the hard mother mold. And ideally, you do want this surface poking out of the surface of the mold so that you can unscrew it using that hex screw again. So that's basically it. That's Eyebucks in a nutshell. Eyebucks in a nutshell. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you also, like, you can get these really great ones from For Steel Studios, but like I've made crappy ones too, just using a urethane dome and then putting a screw in it. This is not ideal. This is not going to hold up to a lot of casting, but it gets the job done. And oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about was when you are sculpting, these screws can be very useful because the eye, if you look at a human eyeball, it's got a little bit of a dome, and like when you get professionally made eyeballs like the ones that For Steel Studios makes, they do have that dome that's the lens at the over the surface of your eye. That creates a slight bulge. So when you sculpt with these, you want to make sure that the eye is pointing in the direction that you're going to have that, just so that when you get the fake eye, you can pop it in and it'll fit right where it's supposed to. But it also helps from a sculpting perspective to see where the character is looking. So, like I used these on, when I first started sculpting Deet from Dark Crystal, I used these. These are just half rounds with, again, the screw in it, which would have lasted for a few castings, but is not ideal for a long situation. You do want a nicer screw like this. Or if you're not going to be doing a soft casting or using it as part of the mold, then again, you can always just use like marbles or taxidermy eyes. So, like I said, the biggest question I always get when I'm posting pictures of these is, why do they have sticks sticking out of their eyes? That's why. Is because it helps me to see the direction that the character is looking in, and also because it can be part of the mold if you decide to mold it that way. So thank you for watching, and as always, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. It means the world to me. You guys, you all really make my work a lot easier, so thank you so much. If you have any questions, please post them below and I will address them as soon as I can. Thank you.